Welcome to Celebrate a Sister podcast. I'm your host, Emma Walkinshaw. I'm a transformational coach. I'm also the founder of Embody Me program and the creator of 21 Minutes of Morning Magic. You may also find me on the yoga mat leading yoga sessions and also running retreats here in Australia and internationally. Here on the podcast, I bring you some pretty incredible guests. We talk all things self-belief, body acceptance, personal development, outdated beauty standards, and we also call BS on the toxic diet culture, accepting the beautiful bodies we were born into, letting go of all the beliefs, and raising our self-awareness. I also come to you from time to time with a little solo episode, a little Life According to Emma moment. I'm so glad you're here. Enjoy. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation with Sab the artist. Sab isn't just your ordinary paint and sip artist. She has quite a unique little spin you'll hear in this episode. I also wanted to let you know that Sab and I are holding an event on the Gold Coast on the 18th of April. So as you listen along to this podcast, and if you are intrigued and would love to join us for this paint and sip, but it's not an average paint and sip, there is not a flamingo or a sunset in sight. You'll hear in this episode how Sab's unique take on paint and sip is incredibly empowering for women. The link's in the show notes. Have a listen. I can't wait to hear your feedback. Sab is an amazing facilitator of art. She is a self-love advocate. You can also commission art with Sab. She does many workshops and also she can facilitate retreats all around beautiful self-love and care for women. I had an incredible experience with Sab last year, and this is where I met this beautiful woman. So Sab does a paint and sip, but I'm going to say it's not your regular paint and sip. It's actually far from it. So what Sab does, and she's going to share more about this as we have this chat, but you actually send Sab a nude picture. If you choose, and Sab clearly explains that you can leave your, if you would prefer to leave your bikinis on or not. But I was very brave and I sent Sab some nude pictures. And that for me, I said to Sab, oh my gosh, how empowering. Firstly, I've never sent a nude picture in my life. Sent one to Sab. And she did this beautiful validating back to me when she received my pictures. And then when I arrived at the Paint and Sip event, Sab had already outlined my body and then took us through the process of painting it. So Sab, a big warm welcome. And can I just say, life-changing doing your Paint and Sip event with you. So welcome, Sab. Welcome to the online summit. Tell me, Sab, I'm going to ask you straight up before I even get you a chance to say hello. I'm going to say, how does the process work with women painting their own bodies on canvas to help them with overcoming self-doubt and fostering a sense of empowerment?
Well, thank you so much, Emma, for having me first. I'm really honored to be a guest on your podcast. And yeah, I think that it was great to have you first, so you were able to experience everything and you did an absolutely great job at explaining how it works. So the question was how my event helps women with overcoming self-doubt, right? So I mean, as you would know, as women, we're just constantly getting messages, and just year after year as we're going up, we're just like building our own self-beliefs about our bodies, and they're often not super positive, right? Is there anything that you can think of, like for yourself, what are the messages that you received as a woman growing up about your body?
Oh my gosh, yeah, so many. And, I think been shown for a very long time only one body type or one body shape, which was the classic. I grew up in I'm born in 1976, the 80s and the 90s, and seeing that if I was not tall, a size 8 to 10, slender, long legs, long arms, I wasn't the typical body shape, and I'm curvy. I've always been in a size 14 to 16 body. So that was never what I seen. So of course, you're right. Growing up then, I just thought that I was just not enough because I didn't fit that mold of what I'd been seeing.
Yeah, and I think many, many women have those same beliefs around their body. And by coming to my events, you realize that you're among women that all have completely different bodies, different sizes, different shapes. And it's just normalizing those other bodies that we're not seeing every day on social media, on TV and magazines, and all of that. So of course, it's not within the 3 hours painting session that you will undo all of those beliefs that you accumulated over the years. But for a moment, at least, from the process of taking your photo to being with the other women and hear about their experiences with their bodies and what they've been through and all of that, for a moment, you can kind of feel liberated and feel like it's okay that I'm with this body. This is my body. I'm unique. Everyone is unique. Everyone is different. And it's totally fine. We're just spending so much time on social media and watching this image that people try to push on us of like what we should look like, but it's not reality.
Mm. You're right, Sab, that is exactly what happened because you sit in a circle and with the other women who are also painting and you're seeing their bodies. It is very liberating. And I even loved when I first arrived and you had all of the canvases set up and you had to go through and find your own, and how beautiful it was to see all of these gorgeous different bodies, shapes, sizes. And it is really celebrating each other. I also went with a friend, so we sat beside each other, and it was just so beautiful to, you're seeing each other's bodies in a sketch, which is a beautiful, outline that you facilitate for us, and seeing everybody. You're right, it just normalizes. We all have a body. They are all beautiful in their own right. And being
Yeah.
exposed to it just helps you shift your focus from being so down on yourself because you start to go, we're all different. Let's celebrate
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
also like realizing that when you're coming to this event, you're not the only person that's nervous walking into it. Not everyone is nervous, but it's something I hear a lot. Like, oh, I'm so nervous. Like you don't necessarily know why, but it's like in the back of your mind, you're thinking like, am I going to be judged? And then you walk in there and you realize like no one is judging you here. It's such a safe space, and whatever judgment or shame that you leave that stuff at home, not in my space.
Oh, and you facilitate that beautifully too, Seb. So I want to ask you, what changes have you observed with participants and their perception of themselves before and after the event?
Well, I think going back to the first question again, it's just like this moment of consciousness that everyone goes through the same struggles, and you know like that feeling of liberation. A lot of women like you, it's the first time they will get in front of a camera and see themselves from that perspective, like being nude in front of the camera and having to send it to a stranger. Like, to me, that's normal. I get photos every day, but I know for the person who's doing that for the first time, it's a big deal. So I do feel like there's this sense of empowerment. Like, I chose to take this photo, I chose to send it, I chose to have someone drawing my body on canvas, and I painted it, and I did it with other women that also felt the same. So I feel like when women leave my events, they don't feel so alone anymore.
Mm.
And maybe they're not like 100% like I love every inch of my body, like that's that's a high bar to reach, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that again later in this interview. But yeah, I do feel that it's appeasing, it's liberating, and it's definitely promoting self-acceptance.
Yes, self acceptance. I agree.
Mm.
Can you discuss in your workshops or how your workshops use art as a medium for women to express themselves from society pressures, their personal inhibitions as well? And how does this process contribute to their overall well-being? So when you think of women coming through your process, and yes, like you say, it's not a quick fix. Like it's not just,
Mm.
come to a beautiful workshop, 3 hours later you walk out and you're, gone from, beating up on yourself to, yes, I love myself. But how do you see through art how you can facilitate that bridge from self-loathing and self-judgment to a little next step down the track? Like, what have you observed?
Well, I think that painting is a really meditative. Is that how you say that?
Yeah,
Sorry for anyone who doesn't know me. My first language is French, so sometimes I don't express myself like in the most
you got it.
perfect way, and I'm not saying words properly. But yeah, it's very meditative. You can really get in the zone, and like you focused on painting. You're not thinking about how you look, or is my hair okay, or whatever. So I feel like while women are painting their bodies, it might be the first time that they're actually looking at their bodies without judging it. They're like looking at their body and they're focused on making it pretty and painting it and what colors am I going to use. So I'm not an expert like neuroscientist or anything like that, but I do have the feeling that um, interacting with your body in that way can be really beneficial for your mental health.
Yes. The other
Yeah.
thing when you were saying that I know that I experienced, firsthand from going through your process, this beautiful process, because I sent you the photo and then you sketched it, I
Mm-hmm.
felt I had an appreciation for my body because then I seen it through your eyes. So I send you
Mm-hmm.
the photo,
Yeah.
then you sketch it, then I get to see your interpretation of my body, which was surprisingly positive. It's that whole, because I think there's a bit of an illusion that we have. We look at ourselves, we're
Yeah.
really hard on ourselves, and we don't quite have, I think, our feet on the ground around it. So seeing you reflect back to me, my body, that was really quite joyous. And in that moment, there's a shift for me
Yeah.
personally.
I hear that a lot. You're not the first person saying that. And when people say like, "Oh, did you make like my waist skinnier or whatever?" I'm like, "No, darling, I would never do that. This is you." Like, are you trying to tell me like I can't draw you properly? Because that's what I'm hearing. But no, like this is you. And I guess it's different because you're seeing yourself like in a one-dimensional kind of way, but it's you. This is what your body shape is like, and
And that
this is
step in
it.
itself is very freeing. Yeah,
Mm,
really freeing. So that is, through the artist's eyes, that is,
yeah,
I think that's probably a really big piece of the power of what you do. You're being such a
yeah,
skilled artist. And those who watch the video right behind Seb right now is a couple of her creations. Can you move to the side? Like that's what, the art that Seb produces. And that's when you commission. Can you tell me about that, Seb? When someone commissions you to draw their body,
yeah.
what would you say the process of that? Like why, in the past, why has someone got you to draw their body? What would you say their journey is? Is it around self-acceptance? Is it around self-love? What would you say that when someone comes to you, what do you think their main motivation is?
Um, Look, I've had different stories. Last year, I ran this exhibition where I can't remember how many, maybe like 10, 12 women who offered their body to art, and they allowed me to paint them. And I also add, added their story to that. So for each painting at the exhibition, I had like a little piece of paper under telling their stories with their journey, and it really goes like from one extreme to the other. Like I want to do this because I love my body and I want to celebrate it, to I want to do this because I don't love my body and I want to start accepting my body. and I want to see it through your eyes, and I want to get out of my comfort zone, and I want to be able to feel like I am worthy of loving myself, because like no one wants to feel like they hate themselves. Everyone wants to feel like they love themselves, or at least feel neutral about it. So, of course, when someone feels really negative about their body, I would hope that they would try to attempt to find ways that they can make a more positive relationship with their body.
That's a great point, Sab. What you just said then was getting neutral with your body. So,
Mm,
because it is a giant leap to get to that self love. And like you say, you had extremes of both ends, someone who already loved themselves and said, yay, I want to do this. I'm happy to give my body up for it. And then someone saying, this is a step towards me becoming
yeah.
more comfortable with my body. And that is exactly right, getting to that neutral point. And I think that helped me. That's a great description.
Mm-hmm.
Again, going back to the experience I had with you, you do get to that point where you go, all bodies, everybody's body is a beautiful body, which is more of a neutral stance other than good or bad, right or
Yeah.
wrong. You know, and I hate the word
And
fat or skinny.
yeah, we don't even need to use
Yes.
beautiful, like we don't even need to use those adjectives. And I think I'm going a step ahead right now, but
Mm.
that's what I struggled the most myself with this business, because as someone who's facilitating self-love events, I was like, well, am I an imposter if I don't fully love myself? Am I like, if I'm not some kind of self-love guru and I'm trying to tell women like, love yourself, love yourself, love yourself, am I dishonest? Am I an imposter? Am I lacking transparency? But I never claimed to anyone that I always feel super positive about my body, because that's not true. That's what I tell everyone who comes to my event. I'm not some kind of self-love guru. I'm on this journey with you. I am just offering you a modality to work towards acceptance, but we're all in this together. So yeah, that's something that I've struggled with. And that's where I came to remember that there was a thing called body neutrality. Like, say, for example, I ask you, hey, Emma, how do you feel about your ankles? Like, unless you have a really bad problem with your ankles, like you're always breaking your ankles for whatever reason, you're going to be like, well, I don't know. How is an ankle supposed to look like? I've never thought about it. I don't have any emotional attachment to my ankles. But then when we're talking about um, our boobs or our bums or our legs, or, like, oh, my thighs are too, why do we have such a huge emotional attachment to those body parts, but not to others? Why not just be like, these are my boobs. They're doing what they're meant to do. They're functional, and it's fine. I don't hate them. I don't love them. They're just there, and I feel comfortable with them. I think that's a step that we're not talking about enough, because everyone is like, the ultimate goal is self-love, and then it's kind of putting you in this perpetual cycle of like, I am not good enough because I haven't reached ultimate self-love. So it's kind of holding you back from loving yourself ultimately.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Absolutely. It's almost like that, you've heard that term, toxic positivity, trying to just
Mm,
override something that's simply not true. And I often say, and I've said it many times, if it's not, if you're self-loathing or you're self-loving, can we just even get to self-respect? And even alluding
yeah,
to that, like neutrality, which is that neutrality respect, in that great example of your ankle, why is there not as much energy around that as your boobs, your thighs, your bum? And if we can even just get to that beautiful place of self-respect, what do you think of your ankles? Well, I
yeah.
actually really respect my ankles. They're highly functional.
Yeah, they take me everywhere. If I need to go for a walk, if they take me from A to Z, and
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll respect my ankles. If I'm going for a hike, I'm going to wear a boot so I don't hurt, it's just coming back to that place. But that's a bit of a step, isn't it? And like you
Mm-hmm.
said, I love how you said I do it because some days I don't always feel, on top of the world and loving
Mm-hmm.
myself. Am I an imposter? And that's a great reminder to go that we are actually in flux. There are some days where we don't feel as amazing as you could. It could be for many reasons. You could be getting your period. You could just be a little bit down. There is many reasons why, and
Yeah.
that's okay too. It's okay to not be high vibing about your body all the time. I guess the
And
only thing that I will say to that, though, we have to also be aware when we're always down on it. And there's never those little breaks in the traffic where you actually can
mhm,
say, no, they are functional ankles and they are wonderful, that we can't even get to that place where we can respect
mhm,
or appreciate even just the functionality, even if it's not about the look, the
yeah.
functionality. Yeah.
And talking about what you said, like that's we're in flux. Well, as women, this is just the reality of it. We're very cyclic being. We're going through a cycle every month. And to me, self-love, even though I work with bodies, physical bodies, to me, self-love is not just about loving your body. It's also about being body literate and understanding how your body works and understanding your cycle, and that you're going to have some days you need to take a break and be gentle on yourself. That's self-love as well. So yeah.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Even though you work with bodies, you understand that it is holistic. It's far greater than just that.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
All right.
So, Seb, I have another question for you.
Yeah.
What inspired you to start these workshops? Can you share a little bit more about your own journey and how it led you to help women through art?
Well, for me, it started as a kid. I've always loved art. I've always been drawing and painting and all of that. But growing up, I was told like, well, this is a hobby, like uh, you can't be a painter. You're gonna be broke your entire life. Da, 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 like that's the messages I've received around that. So despite having the talents, and my family was super supportive of my talent. Like anytime I was doing like drawing contests or anything like that, I was often like the winner. And yeah, the talent was there, but I kept getting discouraged from pursuing it as a career. My family wanted me to be like a doctor or a vet, which was never going to happen. I am diagnosed with ADHD, and school has never been my forte. I don't like just sitting in place and studying. So yeah, I've just been taken through like different avenues through my life. And yeah, when I moved to Australia, it was the same thing. But then I, I'm trying to put this in order in my head because I actually never told this story properly. But yeah, when I moved to Australia, I worked as a travel agent. I've done quite a few things. And then I just got fed up with working for someone else and I started painting again. That was also at the same time when I broke up with my ex, who was not the nicest person you've ever met, I guess. And he was constantly telling me that I was never going to be an artist, that I should have just gone to school, that I was never going to amount to anything, pretty much.
Hmm.
And I guess I had this drive after that, that not I'm going to prove him that I can do it, but I'm going to prove myself I can do it. And I wanted to get back into art, but I didn't know exactly what to do. And I saw that a lot of people were doing paint and sips and stuff like that. And I was like teaching people how to paint flower pots or sunsets with palm trees. That's not what I want to do. I need something that sets my soul on fire, and that's not exciting me. Like that's not lighting a fire under my ass at all. Sorry, I hope it's okay that I'm saying that on
Yeah.
here. But yeah, so after that relationship, I went through like a long healing process, learned about um, my cycle, like psychology, which I studied also in the past, but I don't want to drag this story forever. But yeah, I've always been interested in psychology, like women's well-being and all of that. So I was like, how do I mix my art with all these things that I've learned recently? and all these things that I'm also passionate about just as equally as art. And then one day I was just laying in bed. I was probably, I don't know if I was asleep or about to fall asleep, and it was maybe like 1 in the morning or something. And then, boom, the idea came just out of nowhere. And at that time, I'd been like begging the universe to send me a sign. I was like, please, please, please show me the way. Like, I'm open ears, open heart. I'm listening. When you're sending me a sign, I will listen and I will take action. And then it was late and I was half asleep. And I could have said, like, okay, I'm going to go back to sleep and I'll write it down tomorrow morning. But nope, I just got up and I took my phone and straight away I messaged my friend, hey, messaging you right now. Sorry, hope I'm not waking you up, but I just had this idea and I don't want to forget about it. So let's chat about it tomorrow. And then the day after, I remembered I had this idea of getting women to send me a photo of them, and then I could paint them and then, do what I'm doing today. And in the beginning, yeah, I had all those fears about, like, are women gonna think I'm like super weird asking them to send me nudes? Like, that's, maybe they're gonna be like, what is this creepy woman wanting? But in the end, no, the response was like super positive. I did it with my friends first who trusted me so I could like show an example and, make some content. And just like we went from there, and it turns out that in February is going to be my 1 year anniversary since starting. So yeah, it's been a journey, but it's been amazing. I hope this
Congratulations.
made sense. I feel like I was blabbering. I didn't prepare to tell this story, but yeah.
You made perfect sense. And I am so glad that your intuition spoke to you and you listened.
Mm,
And yes, I
yeah.
understand it must have felt very creepy asking women to send you nudes so you could paint them. But as I shared, seeing you, when a woman sees her body through your eyes and your paintbrush and your pen, there is so much healing and power in that, Sab.
Mm-hmm.
And I am so grateful to you and your work. And you are only just getting started. Your whole ethos of helping women and your whole beautiful energy and essence is really pure. And you are for the greater
Yeah.
good for women.
Thank you so
So
much.
wonderful.
You're giving me goosebumps. Thank you so
Yes, yeah,
much.
it is absolute inspiration. Now, Sabra, is there anything you want to share with anyone about your process or about their own body journey or art? Is there just something you can leave our listeners with? Just some words of wisdom from you about what you do, painting women's bodies, receiving their nudes. Is there anything you want to share as we finish up today?
Okay, one thing. Um, you might have to cut this long pause out. um, I feel like I have so many things coming through my mind that it's just like blurring all together right now. But yeah, I going back to what we already talked about, I think don't be so hard on yourself about loving and embracing every single inch of your body, because you know what, if your goal is that one, that means what? That means that you're constantly consuming a lot of things also. Do you know
Mm.
what I mean? Like, if you stop trying to aim for that ultimate self-love and stop like spending money on, like, oh, I'm gonna love myself more if I get all this Botox and all this money on my hair and on my nails and looking perfect. There's a lot of people that are going to stop making money if you stop aiming for that superficial goal of loving yourself. So that's the key, the superficial. So I think self love starts from the inside, and we should really slow down on trying to make our appearance perfect in and believing that this is going to fix us from the inside.
Yeah, yeah.
And instead of aiming for this ultimate self-love goal, just start with the first step of being neutral about your body.
Mm.
If things are functional, if you're healthy, if your boobs are not the same size, it's okay. It's okay. It doesn't make you any less worthy of appreciating your body and
Yeah.
respecting it. And yeah, I think
Thank you,
that's what
Seb.
I want to
And
leave your listener with.
thank you, Seb. That's a great example. Just because your boobs aren't the same size, I love that saying, you're perfectly imperfect. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that is the absolute uniqueness and perfectness. And you're right. If we can all just get to that body neutrality and stop, I understand what you're saying around it's almost like a false economy by, and look, it is
Mm-hmm.
lovely to have lovely things done to yourself, like whether it be, eyelashes or fingernails or hair
Yeah,
and all
thought
that's,
I totally agree. I just
yeah,
want to say, like, I have nothing against
yeah,
people getting Botox surgery. I got surgery, so yeah, I'm not judging anyone, but I know that we're all, pushed by the
yeah,
economy. There's a lot of
yeah.
capitalistic
And
benefit in being in
And
that
again, you're
state.
right, because it's not really about wrong or right. You should or you shouldn't. Don't
Mm-hmm.
do. That's not the point here. That Sab, and I totally know where you're coming from, Sab, and I totally agree this too. It's not about the thing, but it's just asking yourself what the motivation is and trusting in your own, even back to your own intuition, that it's right for you, but doing it for you, not for
Yeah.
society or because marketing got you, or because, and particularly
Mm-hmm.
like you alluded to, Seb, I mean, you have had a relationship that was not kind. And particularly if we're doing it for reasons that potentially aren't really our own, if they're yours and you want to have it done, as long as it's coming from you and your heart, I think
Yeah.
that's how I feel, because I don't mind what you do, but as long
Yeah.
as it's for you and not for someone else, or not because you got caught in some marketing. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Love that.
We all know that you help women through art, but I know there's some other ways that you help women. You really are about women empowerment more than just the art. So, what are some other ways that you support women?
So 7 years ago, I started this group that's called Make New Friends on the Gold Coast for Women Only. And to be honest with you, I wasn't super involved in it in the first years. I was in a weird place. We talked about my relationship before, so I'm not going to get into it again. But yeah, I wasn't super involved. And then in the recent couple of years, I started getting more involved in the group. It started as a tiny little group with maybe like a few dozen people, and now we have 12,000 active members living on the Gold Coast, all women. Everyone is vetted before entering the group. So it's a really beautiful community, and I am getting involved in that as well, doing Women's Circle on every Thursday morning in Burley with my friend and business partner, Ashley Johnson Turner. And yeah, that's every week, 6 in the morning in Burley. We run retreats together as well. She's more into the psychoeducative side of things, and I'm more in the creative slash artistic activities. And basically, anyone who's joining the group can put a post introducing themselves and saying who they are, where they live, what kind of hobbies they practice, and what kind of friendships they're looking for. And so many women, Emma, like message me all the time saying like they found their best friend, they found their tribe. Yeah. So that's just something that I'm not directly doing, but just from having this group, I know that a lot of women are finding their sisters and getting together. And yeah,
That is
that's another way that we help women get empowered and finding their people and their network.
that is beautiful. And that is just that's that connection piece, just knowing that we're all in
Mm,
this together, and
yeah,
women coming together, sitting in
yeah,
circle needs to be more of that, because that's what we do.
yeah.
We love to connect. And yes, it's wonderful. We have relationships and there's men in our life and men are wonderful, but women
Mm-hmm.
sitting in circle
Yeah.
is incredibly healing and joyful and validating. Thanks for
It's the
sharing that.
thing. it's the thing that if you haven't done it before, like you don't know that it was missing in your life. And then when you start doing it, you realize, oh my God, how have I missed out on that for so long? And through the group, we also run what we call speed friending events. So it's like speed dating, but to make friends. So it's just women. You sit in front of each other for a few minutes, have a chat, and then move to the next person. So it's literally like speed dating, but to make friendships. So yeah, we have so many things that we do to support women making friends and finding community. The group is not easy to find on Facebook because it's a private group. So I'm sure you can share the link in your
Absolutely.
in
Thank
the
you, Seb. So
description.
exactly, I'll share that link. So anyone who's wanting to connect with women, and maybe they've just moved to the Gold Coast, or perhaps that they just are in a different stage of life and are ready to connect with some different women. Absolutely, I'll put that link. Thanks for sharing, Seb. That is such a
Amazing.
beautiful way to bring women together. Thank you. Sab, I want to say thank you so much. Paint and Sip with Sab was absolutely one of my highlights in 2023, and it's an absolute honor to have you today. Yes, your work was done, my love. You totally, all of that you shared today and what is part of your Paint and Sip with Sab, which is no ordinary paint and sip, you achieved that with me, and thank you. It was such a gift. Such a
Thank
gift.
you. I'm so happy to hear that. That's what makes me the happiest, when people have a good time and they actually feel a small shift at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did. So thank you, Seb. Thanks for being a guest on our online summit. For everyone
Thank you
listening,
for
you'll be
having me.
able to find Sab's information. I will have her link to her Paint and Sit with Sab, her Instagram page, and please reach out and get to an event with Sab, because like we shared today, you will have a shift. Yeah. Thank you, Sab.
Thank you
Thanks
so
so
much
much,
for
my love.
having me.
How do you start your mornings? Do you wake and check social media and your emails straight away? Do you look at your to-do list? I have a very simple morning ritual hack called 21 Minutes of Morning Magic. I do this in a virtual group on Facebook a couple of mornings a week, so you are welcome to join me. That's the accountability piece. The other bit about this beautiful morning practice is it's so simple. 7 minutes of yoga, 7 minutes of meditation, and 7 minutes of flowetry. I've also written an accompanying book which has a theme each morning and a mantra. It's called 365 Days of Morning Magic. So if you are keen to join me and need someone to practice with in the morning, I am your spiritual jogging partner. Check out the link in the show notes.